in USA, in the city of Montgomery. There was segregation in the bus. There was separate seat for the blacks and separate seat for the white. And it so happened that one black woman occupied the seat which was reserved for the white. And when the white person came, he asked her to vacate the seat, and she refused. It was uncommon, it was exceptional that the white black woman will refuse to vacate the seat. And that led to a massive civil rights movement in which Martin Luther King participated and all that. We know the early 60s story. But what is important is that that activity, that civil rights movement, that massive long march by Martin Luther King, his lecture is famous, "My dream, I have a dream." But that led to the enactment of Civil Rights Act in 1964. So the effort of the civil rights movement did not go west. It led to a enactment of Act against racial discrimination. Similarly, I hope you are listening to me. You are looking at the other directions. If you are interested, please listen. Otherwise, I will cut short my speech. That effort led to enactment of law, enactment of Civil Rights Act. In a similar fashion, I urge you, I request you, that don't allow the sacrifice of Rohit go west. Don't allow your effort to go west. It is difficult to sustain the people's movement for that long. You can sustain it for a week, you can sustain it for a month, and for a couple of months, but not beyond that. Your target should be clear that what do you want now. And it is this that I would like to very briefly present before you as to what should be the outcome of your effort. What should be the effort that you have undertaken. You must understand that never in the history of Dalit student movement or Ambedkar student movement that they have got such a response across the country. It is not that there were not suicides. There were 2 suicides in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. I was asked to chair that committee, which I did and submit the report. There were suicide, another 14 suicide in northern India. You had suicide here and you had suicide in Hyderabad city. But there was no such response to the agitation. This agitation of yours led to a massive response from various parts of the country. Maharashtra, Lucknow, Orissa, you name, Delhi. The Jawaharlal Nehru students today have gone on a hunger strike supporting you. Now, if there is such a massive support to you, your movement should lead to certain policies, decision of a long-term duration. Otherwise, there is a lot of emotion. Emotion will be expressed, yes, emotion should be expressed. But your effort should be turned into certain policy, decision and certain schemes which will not allow this kind of suicide to be repeated. So you should look for a permanent solution, not a temporary solution. The judicial inquiry will go on. Your demand for replacing Vice Chancellor, acting Vice Chancellor will go on. Many other things will go on. But you should look for a permanent solution to the problem of caste discrimination on the higher education campuses. And it is here that I would like to suggest something before you which you can take if you agree. And if that happens, I am quite sure the problem of student, Dalit and OBC who face discrimination will be overcome to a greater extent. What is the cause of what has happened here? There are a couple of suicides happened in the Central University of Hyderabad. There are a couple of suicides, about 9 or 7 happening in the city of Hyderabad. There are altogether 14 to 15 suicide in northern India. Altogether we have known cases of 25. There is a book by Satish Deshpande, Inclusive Education. There is an article by Anup Singh and your own student and colleagues Sukumar. Article by Anup Singh brings out the cases after cases. He has given the case list of the names, university, when it happens. And out of these 25 cases, almost 23 or 22 cases are of Dalit, OBC, Muslim, girls. What are the reasons? Why do these Dalit children commit suicide? You have to understand that if you want to give a permanent solution to the problem, which you should do, you should find out the reasons. Now I don't want to go into detail. But if you look at that article by Anup Singh, who has developed a website about the suicide of Dalit, his analysis of the suicide cases is the following: that the caste discrimination and exclusion and humiliation of Dalit children, Dalit students, is one of the causes among many other causes also. Sukumar, who was a student of Central University of Hyderabad, and he is a professor of political science in Delhi University. He has an article in that book, and he described the entire life in Hyderabad University around the time of that second suicide that took place here. And he also directed that how campus is divided, how the students face discrimination of various types, both from the student and the administration and the teachers. The forms may be it may be very indirect, invisible, you cannot see it, but you feel it. You are hurt. It affects your academic performance. I hope you have read the account by Dr. Krishna, which appears in Hindu. It's an excellent account. It's very difficult to capture the discrimination, but he has brought out how the students face discrimination on the campus of this university. The reflection, the discrimination and exclusion reflect in student relationship. It reflects in the student and the administration relationship, the attitude of administration towards the children. It reflects in the behavior of the high caste teacher towards the Dalit children, which lead to a lot of frustration, failure, dropout, all kinds of problems. The committee that I headed about in 2008, when a Dalit student had committed a suicide, and I was asked by the Ministry of Health to look into the causes. I accepted it. It was very difficult to get the information from the students. Students were terrorized. There were only 50 Dalit students because the strength of All India Institute of Medical Science is very less. I didn't get the information, so I had no information to summarize, to give reason as to why suicide had taken place. And then I used a method whereby I prepare a questionnaire and distribute it to the 25 students, and they filled those without giving the name. And that brought out the discrimination prevalent in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. It was a discrimination between the students. There are cultural activity called Pulse. The students won't be participate in that as much as they should. They don't get the information. Similar behavior between the teacher and the student, similar behavior between the administration and the student, and there are several other aspects. Although there is no, in the hostel, there is no purposeful allocation of the scheduled caste student in one area. But once you get the room, wherever you get the room, gradually over a period of time, the student move out to one particular hostel. And you see that there is a segregation, a very natural segregation, which is not on purpose, but it emerged. Why? Because the students who are staying in the company of high caste students face behavior which they cannot tolerate, so they go for a change of the room. So naturally, over a period of 1 year, you find all the students get congregated at one place. But this is an indirect thing. But you go to Mysore University, there is a separate hostel for tribal and separate hostel for Dalit. You go to Allahabad University, there is a hostel for Caste, hostel for Hindu, hostel for Muslim, hostel for Sikhs, and hostel for Hindu. Hindu hostel was set up by Malviya, not a non-Malviya. So you have hostel according to the religion and the caste. And this is on the higher education campuses. what kind of campuses we are creating. So I need not repeat that how caste discrimination is the reason as to why there is a failure, there is a larger chances of failure, there are larger chances of dropout among the Dalit student and OBC student. But I would like to mention one thing, and I was discussing with Professor Hargopal and confirming, because Shashi Tharoor has distributed that memorandum to many people and she sent me a copy, that in 2013, when there were series of suicide in the city of Hyderabad, a report was published in Times of India. And the Andhra Pradesh High Court took a suo motu notice of that report. Nobody filed a public litigation. But court on its own, the judge on his own took a notice of the so many suicide, and they wrote to various ministries, various universities to take some action. It is at that time 20 to 30 faculty member of this university in 2013, headed by Hargopal, submitted a memorandum to the judge in which they bring out what are the causes of suicide and what can be done. And the High Court just passed it on to the various universities, including the Central University of Hyderabad. And the university didn't do anything. There were directions, there were very nice suggestions, good analysis by the same teacher who are here. But the complete suggestion was bypassed for another 5 to 6 years. And you find a repeat of another suicide here on this campus. What happened is that each time the suicide happened, the incident specific reasons are given. That this is what had happened at that time. This is what had happened at that time. But larger background of social exclusion and issue of discrimination is not accepted. There is a denial on the part of the authorities, there is a denial on the part of the policy making bodies that the discrimination persists. But now it seems to me that many have begun to accept that yes, indeed, there is an exclusion, there is a discrimination, there is a differential treatment which hurt, which humiliates the student, by the teacher, by the administration, which ultimately result into the poor performance, psychological consequences of discrimination, dropout. Many students can accept it, many students can tolerate it. But there are some sensitive students who are pushed to the wall. And some of them, they go to a last resort like Rohit has resorted to. Friends, so there is a acceptance now. Now therefore, I would like to place before you, based on my experience of the All India Institute of Medical Science Committee, as well as my stay in University Grant Commission, I would like to suggest you certain solutions which you should pursue. Otherwise, all your effort by Rohit will go west. Movements are created and movement disappear. Your movement is hard movement. Rohit has sacrificed it. It must lead to a policy which will deal the problem of caste discrimination on a permanent basis. Otherwise, the next generation will blame you as to what you have done for us. Now, I have 5 solutions to you. Drawing from the international experience and drawing from our own experience. The first demand should be, in my view, first policy initiative in my view, which the ministry and the other people should take is the following. Number 1, ask the Ministry of HRD to set up a committee. Ask the University of Hyderabad to set up a separate committee to bring out the nature and forms of discrimination and exclusion that the Dalit student and the OBC student and the girls face on the campus. Merely saying here and there, somebody writing in the newspaper and all that won't help. There should be a proper committee which will document and understand the nature of discrimination that is being faced. Also, the committee will bring out what are the consequences of this exclusionary atmosphere on the campus. How does it affect their academic working? How does it affect their performance? How does it affect their personality? How does it affect their nature? So once we know the nature and forms of discrimination faced by Dalit and others, then you know what to do about it. So ask for the two committees to be set up, one by the HRD, one by the University of Hyderabad. 3, 4, 5 people should take a stock of the 30-year, 40-year period, current period, and present that this is how the atmosphere persists. The 29 faculty team which submitted a memorandum to the High Court Judge of Andhra Pradesh brought out this. They brought out that how the atmosphere is torturous as far as the student is concerned. It hurt them, it humiliated them, it sanctified them. Because of that, students are they feel afraid of failure. They are from poor background, they can't go back home, they are the only hope of their families. And therefore, this committee has recommended a very serious reform of administration, serious reform of curriculum, serious reform of teaching method, serious reform of pedagogy, how to teach, which is friendly to the student who comes from rural area, which is friendly to the student who come in the regional languages. Only yesterday I have seen, based on the 2008 education survey, that 65% of the Dalit students on higher education campuses had a medium of instruction either Hindi or regional languages, which was less than 35% of the other students. If a student comes with the regional languages after completing master or undergraduate, they lag behind compared to others. Their training in the core subject is also relatively poor compared to others. We have solution. I will come to that later. But I was referring to this committee which has highlighted what persists in Central University of Hyderabad. So the first is to have a committee, let the committee submit a report, let them take 6 months, 5 months, based on the present documentation, evidence. They will present a story how our campuses are characterized by exclusionary tendencies, by caste, by gender, by racial discrimination. We have addressed this issue of discrimination associated with different identity. Second, once you know the forms and nature of discrimination that persists on the campus, then you can suggest a solution. And that solution is the only solution. That is, there are two solutions, but the first solution that you should have a law. You should have a law against discrimination. Now you might ask me a question that there is an already Prevention of Atrocity Act. Indeed, the act was modified in a couple of months before by the present government in 2015. And there is a very small reference to the education. That reference was also because of me. I had suggested that include education discrimination also. But there is no mention of detailed forms. There is no mention of detailed forms of discrimination in education. As a result, it doesn't help you much. There is a second regulation that was also passed, which was taken by the last government. University Grant Commission has passed the regulation and submitted to the universities. That regulation says that this type of behavior is a discriminatory behavior and administration should take actions. Yesterday I gave a lecture before the JNU Student Union had organized its meeting like this, and I asked them the question. JNU is one of the most alert universities in the country. I asked about 500 students were there, including those 2 students from the Lucknow University. I asked them, how many of you are aware about the regulation of UGC about discrimination? And none of them raised their hand. That is the ignorance of the regulation, because it's simply a regulation. So what we need, a law which will make discrimination a punishable crime. And once you make that, I am quite sure that the discrimination will reduce substantially. I give you a successful story of making the law and behavior of the student punishable and considering as a crime is an excellent example of ragging. You know the ragging was a problem in this country. But for the last 3-4 years you don't listen to ragging incidences. The reason is that ragging has been made punishable. Ragging has been made a crime punishable by the court, including the 6-month imprisonment. Student comes on the campuses to build up a career. They don't want to engage into crime because their career will be disturbed whole life. That is why ragging has been stopped.
5 minutes permit.
and they have built up the administrative apparatus also to implement. The law against discrimination should be made punishable and considered as a crime. You will see that caste discrimination exclusion will reduce quite substantially. Any student behaving in a discriminatory manner, any teacher, any administrator, once he knows that these forms of behavior are against the law, they will demand punishment and possibly imprisonment. That will act as a deterrent on most of them. So the second demand of yours, if you want to make some success out of your movement, is that ask for the law against discrimination. And of course the administrative procedure and other thing. The supplementary thing would be that you will ask guidelines as to how this implement, what are the best practices that the non-discrimination should not happen. You should go back and read what are the instructions for gender discrimination. The law and best practices outline. If you talk this way with the girls, this is gender discrimination. So behavior of the boys which is discriminatory towards the girl has been defined, and then the girl can go to the court of law. So this law will define that these various forms of behavior of teacher, student and administrator will be considered as a crime, punishable. Similarly, how do the teacher and student should behave with each other? That is also equally important. It is brought out in case of gender legislation that this is how the male should behave with the female. I think those practices will be necessary. Now the third demand I propose with you, if you have read my article in Hindu, Unlearning Undemocratic Behavior, third, and you should insist for that. Remember well, law by itself doesn't bring change. Law only prevents, it doesn't cure. If the Untouchability Act is there from 1955, and if the law has been the only solution, untouchability would have disappeared. It hasn't disappeared. Atrocity Act is there since 1989. Atrocity continues to happen. On an average, 13,000 atrocities are registered by Dalit at all India level. From 1995 to 2013, more than 250,000 atrocities have been registered by Dalit. So law is a deterrent, but it is not a cure. And cure is that you must change the youth of this country, his attitude, his values, his ideas, his habits, which he picked up in the family and the society, which are discriminated. You must understand that our campus, higher education campus, has been now diversified. If you look at the student composition of early 19th century, go to the Loyola College or go to the other college, the urban Brahmin male was the only person who used to go to higher education. No female, no Dalit, no Muslim, no tribes. But now, over a period of time, the higher education campuses are diversified, where you have Dalit, you have Muslim, you have girls, you have people from rural areas. And this diversified group come with their own values. What they learn in the family, what they learn in the society. They come with caste prejudices, they come with values, we support caste system. They come with gender prejudices. In my university, a girl was attacked with axe in the classroom simply because she was not willing to have a relationship with the person. And the boy thought that how come a girl has the courage to say no? That is the prejudice which he entered into the college. Now if you have a diversified group, diversity is a good thing. You under one state you have multiple culture, but it has its own problem also. So how diversity has been dealt with, how discrimination and exclusion has been dealt in other countries. I will take 2 minutes to present you the experience of USA. They also face with a similar situation that the Central University of Hyderabad is facing now. USA also began to face the problem of diversity. There also the white person male was a student couple of years ago. Now you have black, you have a girl, you have a Latino, you have an Indian, Asian and Asian Indian, and there is a multiplicity there. And that began to create the problem. But America is sensitive. They set up a committee in 1995 of the University and College Association, studied the diversity, studied the forms and nature of discrimination and exclusion that persists because of diversity, and came with a solution. And that solution was civic education and democratic action. And what was that? That they prepared a course in which they will teach about racial discrimination, they will teach about gender discrimination, color, classism, sexism, and there are courses, and those courses are made compulsory and sometimes voluntarily to all the students in the university, so that they became sensitized to the problem of the society. They develop a non-discriminatory behavior. They respect these differences. They became sensitive. And they turn out to be good citizens. This is the citizenship education. We are hardly a citizen. Dalit is not a full citizen. That's what Dr. Ambedkar says, that he is a part of the Hindu society, but he is a part of art. Citizenship demands that you should be free to write and read and whatever you want to express. Citizenship demands that you are entitled to the same civil rights which others are. We are not. In the villages, you have statistics which show that we don't have access to commonwealth of temples, if not fully, but partly. 40% of the cases you find discrimination. So you are not a full citizen, you are a part citizen. The fundamental rights which are enshrined in the constitutions are not fully enjoyed by the Dalit in the villages. Discrimination persists. Now you have to make the students sensitive, the high caste students. Other students have to make sensitive and make them better citizens. Make them understand that there is a common principle on which everybody should behave towards everybody, which America did. They also changed the pedagogy, method of teaching. They introduced what is the concept of group discussion. Mixed peer group. Pick up Jew, pick up Muslim, pick up white, pick up black in the class and ask them to talk about their own life and problems. So you listen to differences, but began to develop respect for differences. We don't have respect for differences. We are full of enmity, we are full of hatred. The hatred that you see because you came under reservation by the other has an origin in the caste system. Because caste system provides privileges to certain section of the society, and reservation encroach on those privileges. They think that these are our area and there is the encroachment now by the Dalit and OBC and others. That's the root of the conflict. They don't want to give you the space. The space is given by the constitution. But they have to be told that look, education is open to everybody. Higher education, lower education. You had a monopoly, now we are coming here and understand that you have to compensate and you have to pay. And people will listen. I think we still have a strong democracy. It's a working democracy, but it is. In South Asian countries, remember, well, India is the only one which is a surviving democracy. You look at all the countries around you, democracy is in trouble. So we have that strength. You have been supported not only by Dalit students and in various parts of the country, but press has supported you, non-Dalit has supported you. So there is a sense of fairness in this country also needs to build up on that. But the civil education has to be introduced in the university and in the colleges where we teach the problem of the society and make them more sensitive. They also introduce one aspect, that is democratic action. When a student do course, they take an assignment and visit black locality so that you understand what is the black life and you learn the skill. So this is my third. There is no time you can read. You read that article which I published in Hindu. But the third demand you should have that in all university and colleges there should be a course which is compulsory cutting across undergraduate to PhD to sensitize about the problem of the society and building positive values. That will cure. If you have a substantial support of some of the non-Dalit students, because they understand that, they believe in universal values, they believe in citizenship rights, and they believe that you should have those citizenship rights as much as they have, that is why they are with them. But you have to convert the rest of them also. Don't blame people, don't blame students. Blame the ideas with which they come. They are the victim of their ideas, and you have to smash out that ideas to teach. This is the third solution that I want to give. The other solution I want to suggest, which you should take, I think, as a program, and that is the academic remedial program and academic assistance to the Dalit, Adivasi and those who are from rural area. The Hyderabad University Committee, headed by Hargopal or others, highlight the problem of handicap with which the Dalit student and tribal student comes. The teaching is elitist, the curriculum is elitist, they don't understand. They have difficulties. They are framed in a way, in such a manner that the English convent boys will understand it. So there is a need of reform of curriculum, there is a need of reform of pedagogy and teaching method. That should be a separate demand. But most important is the remedial help to the students. UGC has a program, UGC gives the money. But there is no commitment on the part of the institution. I have not seen many institutions which are serious about the remedial program. Part of the problem of Dalit, Adivasi and those who come from the rural area will be taken care of. You will build their confidence provided you give them additional help to remove their inadequacies in language as well as subject. JNU is an excellent example. We develop what is called individualized remedial assistance. Because we have a small number of students, you are also like us. Each center has an academic assistant coordinator. In the first semester, he or she will identify who are the students who are lagging behind, and ask the senior student to help them, ask the concerned teacher to help them. And some of the academic coordinator told me that the students who received the help, they are doing better than the regular students. So another program that you should ask, that there has to be a comprehensive remedial assistance program for those who come with certain handicap in language and the core subject. That will build up the confidence of the Dalit, Adivasi and those who come from rural areas. And there is already a program that exists. The last suggestion that I have is that this is the suggestion that I have given to in the All India Institute of Medical Science Committee. Because the Dalit student will completely bypass from the decision-making process. The teacher even bypass from the decision-making process. So it is only the higher caste and elite who take the decision, which is detrimental to have time with the Dalit. So I made a suggestion which you should demand that on each bodies of the university, small or big, there should be representation of the Dalit student and the teacher. So that you are a part of the decision. And then if there is a decision which you think is wrong, you can then shake at that very time. So this is the fourth demand that I will propose to you. And last two, they are of a different nature, that I think while the Ministry of HRD or the Central University will continue to prepare a report on the status of the discrimination and other, and come with a suggestion, let a civil society, the professor and the teacher of this university and some of the NGOs and activists should form a committee, and they should prepare their parallel report about the status of higher education and make the suggestion to the government. This should be a parallel report to the government. Government will possibly come with that report. And last thing, and I don't want to go that long, is that don't allow this effort of yours to go west. By that I mean that you have been supported by thousands of students from different states.